All right. They're coming up this week because, guys, we always do this week in boxing. So we got this fight topping everything off.
Yes.
And it's really topping everything off because of Vasyl Lomachenko. Lomachenko's a special fighter. He's that guy. And so he's the guy at this point. I mean, it's not Canelo. It's not Floyd or Pacquiao, but he is a guy who, when he fights, it's getting to the point where his opponent kind of is secondary to everything. It's like, it doesn't matter. We're going to watch it anyway. But the great thing about this guy is he just doesn't seem to fight complete nobodies. Like some fights, you're like, yeah, he's going to destroy Anthony Crawler. Yeah, he's going to destroy Rocky Martinez. But it's still somebody, and you can still kind of understand why the fight is going on. So, I can tell you how I see this fight. Campbell, Luke Campbell, the speed is not there. The overall boxing acumen is not there. I don't see a path to victory for Campbell. I just don't. He's a nice fighter. He's a nice fighter, and perhaps fighting somebody else, maybe I would give him an opportunity. But I mean.
Well, let's break it down though. Let's give a little bit of statistical, support.
Yes.
I mean, I agree with you. Okay.
Yes.
On the surface here, I agree with you, but let's get a little bit more granular.
Yes.
So we have two former gold medal Olympians, Lomachenko from 2008 and 2012.
Right.
Campbell from 2012 at bantamweight.
Yes.
Okay. They're both 31 years old, I believe.
Yeah.
They're both southpaws.
Yes.
Campbell is probably 5'9".
Campbell is listed at 5'9".
Right. And then you have at 5'6.5", you have Lomachenko, maybe?
Yes. He's definitely smaller.
71-inch reach to a 65.5-inch reach.
Right.
Okay. So, physically, they're southpaws. Ton of experience on the amateur side. They even competed in the same Olympic Games. Both won gold medals in 2012. They have an opponent in common in Jorge Linares.
Yes.
In which Linares defeated Campbell by a very close split decision, in which you can argue was closer than that.
Yeah.
Of course, we saw what we learned was an injured with his shoulder Lomachenko come back after being knocked down in the 6th round, to stop Linares in the 10th round with a body shot.
Right.
And so, at 13-1, we have Lomachenko. The one loss to Orlando Salido. He's 1 in 3 weight classes already. To your point, he's just out of the gate. He was just fighting guys. I mean, there was real no off the gas pedal. Crawler was a mandatory. He had to do it because they didn't want to relinquish that title. So it is what it is. And remember, the reason he fought Krolla was he had a special exception to fight Comey, but Comey popped his knuckle when he fought Isa Chiniev in Texas. That devastating 2nd-round KO. So that is why that Krolla fight took place prior to the Comey fight.
Right.
So with all that backstory and all these statistics and all of the matchup, Campbell's a good fighter. He's might be one of the better skilled fighters that Lomachenko will have faced.
Yes.
Certainly not the fastest. He's not faster than Loma fought Gary Russell, right?
Yes.
Yeah, not faster than guys like that. He's not fast. The problem with Campbell is that he's just, Lomachenko, to me, the way that I can best describe his style of fighting is computer-like. He's like the personification of what's the word I'm looking for? The term that I'm looking for. He is the personification of when you learn as you go.
Learning on the fly.
No. It's a technical term. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank here. It's when like war games, when a computer's learning as it goes, there's a terminology for it. Someone help me in the
You're
chat.
talking about artificial
Artificial
intelligence.
intelligence. So Lomachenko's like artificial intelligence. Okay. My God, I just had a brain freeze. He's like artificial intelligence. He literally learns of the situation as the fight's taking place.
Yeah, the best do that. The best do that.
And that's a superior boxing IQ, but it's really he's adapting in real time, and he's finding holes and he's adjusting as the fight happens. So, Campbell, here's an interesting thing, right? So according to my bookie, the opening line was minus 1,600 and change for Lomachenko, plus 1,075 or something for Campbell. So basically, you bet 1,600 and change, and you to win $100, right? Terrible value. But now it's minus 1,500 for Lomachenko, plus 800 for Campbell. And it's just because the money's been coming in at a rate of 61% on Campbell. It's at the O2 Arena in London. Campbell has the hometown advantage, that he's going to have a crowd to lift him. For me, the greatest bet of the evening is Lomachenko by decision plus 250. You're simply betting that Campbell will find a way to last 36 minutes and end this fight on his feet like Pedraza did.
Yeah.
Like a moral victory, right?
Yeah.
That's my take. My take is that if Campbell could get energized, if he can find a way to survive ultimately what Lomachenko is going to do, which is, learn how to get to him, maybe those physical traits will help him stay out of harm's way long enough to like I said, lose a decision. And look, Campbell's losses both in his career have been split decision losses. So it's not like he's a complete pushover.
Oh no, he's definitely not a complete pushover at all. But he's, what else he is, which I think is a bad thing for him, especially in this fight, is he's and he's a relative slow starter. And that's, I think, against Lomachenko, I think that's a bad situation, because Loma is going to get stronger as the fight goes on, because as you said, he downloads the data, applies it, and starts to adjust. Well, if you haven't even gotten started yet, or you're not having your best rounds early, then, because if you look at the fight with Linares, Campbell arguably lost every round except for one in the first 6 rounds.
Right. And he got dropped.
And he got dropped.
And
straight right.
That was an experience thing. That
straight
was
right hand.
Linares moving.
Yes.
Catching him on the turn. And I don't think Campbell saw the punch.
No.
And it's that type of, like you said. I'm sorry for my long-winded explanation. I didn't want to just gloss over it. I wanted to give some context to it. But I still think I'm still going to watch it, live blog it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
I think for me, I can definitely see the fight going the distance, because to me, Campbell isn't an underskilled guy who has no business in the ring with Lomachenko. That's not what this is. This is a good fight, the right fight to make. It's just that I just can't imagine Campbell defeating Lomachenko. I think the fight goes to a decision. I think that a hometown crowd, or judges influenced by a hometown crowd, could make it a little closer than what we expect. But I wouldn't be surprised to see 116, 112 across the board, or 116, 112, 115, 111. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I think that
you really think Campbell can pull out 4 rounds on Lomachenko?
I think it's possible. Because he's not dog slow, and he is longer.
So to your point of him being a slow starter, when does he get those rounds?
If he could get it, I could see him maybe winning something like the 3rd and the 4th. Something to that effect. But then from the 4th round on, Lomachenko just completely turns it on. Maybe sometime later in the round and later in the fight, Loma goes to try to finish, doesn't get it done, and maybe the 9th or 10th, maybe Campbell comes back, takes a quiet round or 2 later in the fight, gets to 4 rounds. Anywhere between 3 to 4 rounds is what I would say is the max of what I could see Campbell getting.
I mean, and to your point, I mean, Lomachenko's on a different level.
Yeah.
You can say, well, when he's fought guys that were below his weight, like when he fought Ragundiao, regardless of the weight, he just didn't have an answer for him.
Doesn't have an answer, man.
And that was a super skilled fighter.
Yes.
I could not figure out how to get past anything.
We talking about an elite level fight.
Skills from a skill standpoint.
Yes, elite. I mean, you're not going to find many people who have better footwork, better judges of distance than Ragondial, and he quit. Made him literally tap out as if he was in the rear naked choke. So it's that way.
I thought Linares was on his way to a draw or an upset win, but it takes a special type of fighter to then just figure out how to get it done.
Yeah.
And I think it was Pedraz's physical traits, the height, the reach, and the ability to stay away from harm's way. Although it seemed like Loma was going to get to him.
Yeah, 15 rounds he gets him.
Yeah, just another minute he might have gotten him. I mean, Pedraz was out of gas. I think he took a knee in the 12th.
Yeah,
but he hung on. So I think we're going to see a packed O2 arena just going crazy, chanting, singing. If Campbell can't get energized by that audience, then I don't know what gets you going.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. You know, to me, if he can't win this fight, then there's no reason for a rematch, no matter how it goes.
Now, he has a decent amount of KOs, but they're just not against high level.
They're not against that guy. Yeah, these guys. So, yeah, because that's one thing you always want to look at. You always want to look at if a lot of fighters have a decent amount of KOs, but you got to look at the competition. Right. And like we've talked about, we don't put an insane amount of stock in the in what the BoxRec star system, but it does have some level of validity. If you look at Campbell's last 4 stoppage wins, the last 2 were against Adrian Young, who was a 2-star fighter on BoxRec. Troy James is a 1-star fighter on BoxRec. He did stop Darlis Perez and Jairo Lopez. Both are 3-star fighters, and also Derry Matthews. But you can easily make the case Derry Matthews was way past his prime.
That's where you get him, right?
Yeah, 38-10, and at that point in his career. So
Cool Hand Luke can fight.
Yeah, he can.
Mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you're talking about a gold medal Olympian who's had an excellent professional career. No shame in losing a split decision to Linares. Like I said, could have gone either way. A lot of people thought Campbell didn't lose that fight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just depends how you look at it. And then the other
as against Ivan Mendy.
Right. I mean,
and he avenged that loss.
Another split decision loss.
Yeah.
So, his losses have been close. He's never been stopped. I think the only time he might have been down was against Linares.
Yeah.
Who you can argue, aside from Orlando Salido, that beat Lomachenko in his second fight, Linares might have been Lomachenko's toughest fight to date.
Yeah, I mean, you could say Lomachenko, you could say Linares or Gary Russell. Gary Russell was a tougher fight than I think people remember. Lomachenko,
and he was like 24-0 at that time.
Yeah, he was. Lomachenko only won that fight by majority decision. And when
are you impressed with my statistical knowledge ever?
You know what? I got an even better compliment. I'm not surprised.
I appreciate that.
There you go.
Okay.
So that's the last one you'll get. All right. So, but Gary Russell was won by majority. Lomachenko only won that fight by majority decision. So, so that's something to take note of. But
I would just say this: if you're thinking about tuning in or not tuning in, tune into ESPN Plus. It's going to be a good fight.
I think it's going to be a good fight.
It's going to be a great show. Going to be a lot of energy. I wouldn't rule out the crowd having an effect on the evening. I think it's going to be exciting. And, for what it's worth, I don't think it's worth much. We're going to see Huey Fury
against Povetkin.
For what it's worth. I don't even know. But I'm going to tune in.
I think it's interesting.
It's interesting.
And there's also a flyweight world title fight. Charlie Edwards against Julio Cesar Martinez.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be a good show.
Yeah. And also on the same night on Fox, you have Erislandy Lara defending his regular WBA junior middleweight title against Ramon Alvarez. So I wouldn't expect a lot of people to be watching that card unless they don't want to pay down for that ESPN Plus subscription.
No, listen. Number one, they're not competing. the ESPN show, I think, will be on like 5 p.m.
Yeah, you're right.
Will be the
You're
main
right.
event because
You're
it's,
right.
it's in London.
You're right.
And the Fox show probably comes on after this broadcast is over. And I mean, come on, for $4.95 a month, how could you not have ESPN Plus?
That's kind of how I look at it, but you know,
I mean, that's like, honestly, really, I spend that with 2 Doppio espresso macchiatos in a day at Starbucks. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah, for sure. Now, also another fight on that card, and I'm sure you've probably already been talking to some people about this, is Jeff Horn against Michael Zarafa. So he's that fight's taking place. I don't know what time it'll be because
on what card? That's taking place in Australia.
I'm sorry, not on that card, on the same day is what I
Yeah,
mean.
that's taking place in Australia.
Yeah, but what time in stateside? I wonder, is that going to be?
They're not doing it for stateside.
Obviously
So
not. Yeah, obviously not.
there's that's probably a Fox pay-per-view in Australia, if I had to guess. And they probably couldn't care less if anyone tunes in. I managed Michael Zarafa for about 1 hour.
Okay.
Long story.
Yeah.
But I don't see that being a very competitive fight. I think Jeff's gonna take care of Zarafa. I mean, Zarafa's a tough kid. He's fun to watch. He has a little pop in him. He went the distance with Kell Brook. Peter Quillen knocked him out when he was young and inexperienced. So I mean, he's game, and you know he's getting his shot. I think he's more of a true middleweight than Jeff is, but I also have a lot of experience with Jeff, and I know Jeff, as you know personally.
He's a big guy.
We're friends, and you know he's just a strong guy. I mean, another Olympian, right? He also competed in the Olympics. People underestimate him. I mean, yeah, he lost to Crawford. I mean, he beat Pacquiao. Even Crawford went on Joe Rogan a week ago, right? Actually, a little more than a week ago Monday, and said after watching Pacquiao Horn, changed his mind about that fight, and said he felt Jeff Horn won that fight.
Yeah,
and
I did too.
Yeah, and although Crawford dominated Horn, it wasn't like Horn wasn't game. I mean, Crawford,
no, he was there. He just wasn't good enough.
You know.
Yeah,
he's good enough to beat Zarafa.
Yeah, I would.
Here's just, you know, if you guys, you know, just a little inside information. If Horn gets past Zarafa, he's fighting Murata in Japan next for the middleweight title.
That's an interesting fight.
Yeah, and if he gets past Murata, he'll fight Rob Brandt in, I think, Australia,
which is a huge payday for him. So
yeah, I'm just kind of, you know, we're talking.
He got the ducks in a row.
He's got them lined up.
He's got them lined up.